And welcome in, guys. Hope you're having a great festive season, and I hope you're getting into the new year pleasantly. Hope you haven't had too many, but I hope you enjoyed the games today, both in the Premier League, the Championship, and wherever else you were looking for the football. Hey, I'll tell you what, it's hotting up in the Premier League and it's hotting up in the Championship. What we're going to talk about today is the normalities of Premier League and Championship, as we've been doing recently. We're going to carry that ebb and flow on. First of all, we're talking the Premier League top 10. Then we'll talk the relegation focus, as we normally do. Then we'll talk the schedule coming through, which is, again, really coming up on us fast time. It's coming up tomorrow. Again, more games. And the FA Cup is coming up in a week's time too. So the schedule congestion is really on us right now. So the Premier League we're going to plough through first. Then we'll get to the Championship. And remember, I call it England's best league and one of the toughest leagues, really one of the toughest leagues to get out of. And then we'll take a look at the schedule and some world gossip and predictions. Let's get into this.
This is Ultimate Soccer with Soccer Steve.
So, looking at the schedule coming through, feast your eyes on those games, guys. I tell you what, we'll be talking about a few of them in a couple of minutes, but those are the games coming through. And I tell you, we've had some big results today. Tottenham Hotspur, I tell you, slipping out of the top four like we said they would, and they lose at home to Aston Villa under Unai Emery, who's doing a pretty decent job. Villa now 3 wins in the last 5. That's pretty decent. But Tottenham, Conte, why did you take that job? He looks so depressed on the side of the field. How's that going to instill your team to win? I tell you, doesn't look like a good scene at Tottenham. Look for that to get worse, and look to that for maybe Conte to leave sooner than he thought he was going to be leaving. It doesn't look good for Tottenham, and I just really don't think that they're going anywhere, but maybe 8th or 9th on the season. Luckily, if they get 7, I tell you what, it's really looking tough for Tottenham. Started great, not looking good. The other game as well today, Chelsea. Hey, Graham Potter, you're not really doing much for the Blues, are you? Seeing as you came from Brighton to do a job. I never had a good thought or a good feel when Potter was given the job at Chelsea. And maybe I'm right about that, because I just don't see Potter as a great coach. I think he hit his ceiling with Brighton. I think he should have stayed there. Sometimes, you carry a team as far as you can and you're looking great, and people looking in on the outside think you're greater than you are. Potter, you better bring up some numbers. You better bring up some wins, and Chelsea better start scoring goals. I mean, on the day, Chelsea 1-1 with Nottingham Forest. And I tell you, Nottingham Forest, great display. Steve Cook is keeping that team in close with other teams. They're on 14 points now. They're not relegated, and they're looking like they're making a fist of this. So look for Nottingham Forest to continue. And it wasn't anybody up front that scored for Forest again. Remember I said Forest were just a little bit, featherweight? Well, it was Aurier, a defender, that chested it down and volleyed it right between Azpilicueta's legs. I mean, for a keeper, when the ball goes between your legs, it's kind of embarrassing, but it is what it is. It was a great little finish, and it's a great point for Forest, and they keep chugging along, and they keep picking up the points. So there's 2 of the games that came on today. Let's take a look at the league ladder upstairs, the top 10. Let's take a look at the top 10 first and see what's happened since a couple of days ago. All right, let's take a look. Okay, let's take a look at the top 10 in the EPL. Now, on top, as per usual, seems like they've been there all year long. They have. Arsenal on top, 14-1-1, 43 points. And I'll tell you what, plus 26 on the goal differential. Very tidy. Man City in second, dropped 2 points on the weekend. 1-1 draw. Haaland gets his 21st goal in 15 games, another record. But are Man City going to be able to catch Arsenal? Right now, it seems that Man City have got their feet in the mud and they just can't get that ebb and flow going. They keep stuttering, and Arsenal keep nailing down the wins. And you've got to say, if you continue to keep the wins coming, Arsenal, even with a beautiful 4-2 win on the road at Brighton on the weekend, then you've got to be taken for real. I think Arsenal is for real. It's Man City that can take them down. But will they catch them? There's still time to go. 22 games left in the season. There's still time to go. We're nearly halfway through. And let's say if Arsenal goes through a bad phase, maybe 3 games, they can afford that right now and still have Man City keep good form and draw level. So you could say that Arsenal has a few games in the bank where they can drop points and still stay in front. And once you've had one drop, you normally don't drop again. So the closer we get to, say, 25, 26 games, if Arsenal's still only lost one game in the next 10, which is very tough, then I'd say Arsenal is in pole position to take it. I'm still putting my money on Man City to win the title. But Arsenal, boy, oh boy, is this the year? Is 2023 going to be the year that Arsenal and Arteta get it done? Arsenal fans out there, let me know what you're thinking. But I'll tell you, interesting season. Man City in second, still chasing like you know on 36 points, 7-point difference. In behind them by 2 is Newcastle United, still only 1 loss on the season, 9 wins, 7 draws. Eddie Howe, next England coach. That's what I'm saying. Gets him in that job. Southgate, bye-bye. Tottenham, I said in the last show that I feel Tottenham are going to slip out the top 4 pretty soon. Boom, they're out the top 4 already. There you go, done, dusted. Prediction in the bag. You heard it in the last show. Let's hear some more stuff. Tottenham in 5th on 30 now. 5 losses on the season. You don't win anything in the top 4 with 5 losses. You can't win a title, that's for sure. Liverpool now starting to get closer to Tottenham. Game in hand. Tottenham on 30 points. Liverpool on 28. I guess by the next round of games, if Tottenham falter again, well, Man United and Liverpool will both have gone past Tottenham in short term, like I said they would. And you've got to think that Conte, where is this season going for you? Villaborte Morte, I tell you what, Fulham having a great season back in the big leagues. I mean, you got to say, 25 points, sitting above Chelsea. Does it get any better? And they can score goals as well. 29 goals on the season. Not so bad, considering Chelsea's only got 20. What's happened to Chelsea's goal scoring? Graham Potter, I tell you, when you left Brighton, I was expecting nothing at all. I really was expecting nothing great. I did not think that Potter was the man to take on Chelsea for a minute of the day. And it's proving that he's probably not the guy. The results are not going in the bag. The goals are not being scored. And Chelsea, really, sitting in 8th. It's pretty much a flat line right now. I do expect Chelsea to bring some more, but they look so light up front and they look toothless in the middle. I don't know what kind of play or what kind of style he's changing there, because I really don't recognise Chelsea at the moment compared to last year, the year before. The cut and thrust and the great shooting and the great passing and the slickness in the team and the toughness in the team doesn't seem to be the same. So Potter, is he going to last the season? Because if these results don't get any better, I think he's under pressure. And the backroom stuff as well, you can't transplant Brighton into Chelsea and expect it to work. No disrespect, but a really crazy idea would be taking a 3rd division coaching team and putting it into Real Madrid. It's a crazy analogy, but just so you understand what I'm thinking. You can't take Potter and his crew from Brighton and put them in Chelsea and expect it to be what it was before. And the owner, Borney, I'll tell you what, that's the biggest mistake you've made so far in my expectations with Chelsea. I just don't see Potter as the man. Taking on Brighton now in 9th, well, hey, this is another great season for Brighton. They've had ownership changes over the last few years. They haven't stalled. They haven't faltered. And like other teams like Crystal Palace in their kind of feel and era and size, they're not making the mistakes that Palace are making, etc., or Leicester are making. So hats off to Brighton. Great season again. They only need another, I'd say, 16 points, and they're confirmed for another season in the Premier League. Rounding that top 10, Brentford again. It's now 8 draws, but 5 wins. Yes, we only had 4 wins. Now they got 5. And I tell you what, Tony took a real nasty jump, and as he hit the floor, buckled his knee. They're saying it's a light injury. I hope they're right. It looks like ligament damage to me, so that could be a short-term or a long-term, and with the heat treatment and the freezing and all the medications that they can put on that thing, I tell you what, he may well be ready for the Reds in the next game. I don't expect it, but that's what they're saying. So there's your top 10. Let's take a look at the relegation. Well, looking at the relegation, it really is pretty similar to what we had last week, but just a couple of teams have moved up and down. In bottom of the table, though, bottom 3, Southampton, Wolverhampton Wanderers, and Nottingham. Still the same 3, but Forest picked up a point this week against Chelsea. I'll tell you what, big point, big point. If they can keep picking up the points, they've got a chance at staving off relegation. But from top to bottom, Leicester City still hanging on. 17 points. Leeds United, Bournemouth, and Everton, then West Ham. West Ham now, 5 losses on the season, back-to-back. All competitions. It's not looking good. David Moyes, what is going wrong with your team? Have you not got it together with the team? Are you not on the same page? Have the players stopped listening to you? Is it a case of you need to go? Someone needs to come in? Ever since last season when West Ham went into the Europa League, it seems that they've really gone down, 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 down. Considering all the rest in between, I don't think it's fatigue. I think it's probably the playing core themselves. There's a lot of guys there that look like passengers with West Ham. Emerson's one of them. Just strolls around, doesn't really get into the game. Souček's another one, doesn't really get into the game. Declan Rice, honestly, for a player of his quality, what really is his position? Because he seems to be everywhere. He seems to be doing too much. And when a guy gets pulled out of position and he's doing too much, does that help the team? No, it doesn't. It's literally leaving holes behind where West Ham are getting exploited at the worst of possible times. It's team defense that's letting West Ham down. And team offense, it isn't really going in the right direction for West Ham right now. I mean, 13 goals on the season, only 22 against, but you got to score goals. Looking at the bottom 5 clubs, okay? Everton, 13 goals scored. West Ham, 13. Nottingham Forest, 12. Wolves, 10. Southampton, 15 goals. You're not going anywhere if you're scoring quasi less than 1 goal a game, unless you got the defensive team of the future, where you're not getting any goals conceded. But you can see the lack of goals is holding those guys down. And I think that even Bournemouth, although they've scored 18 goals, they concede goals like bag loads. 36 goals on the season, as you can see on the standings. Bournemouth are not clear from this. So for me, there's 6 clear teams that are headed into trouble this year. And after 19 games, 20 games, 25 games, if we're looking for the similar picture, what we've got right now behind me, then these teams are in the bottom of the league for real. They didn't just get there. Their terrible form has earned their lowly standing in the league. And the threat of relegation is real for all of these teams. Even with Leicester, I doubt it very much. But when you consider only 5 points can separate these teams, I guess anything is possible. And the losses keep coming in by the bag load. Now, let's take a look at something else. Okay, looking at the Championship, 5 games we had today. Taking a look, Blackburn Rovers taking out Cardiff City 1-0. Blackburn won, but they lose a lot, don't they, eh? Blackpool drew with Sunderland, red card to Blackpool. And I tell you what, another big point for Sunderland. Sunderland is a surprise team right now. I tell you what, I did not expect Sunderland to be in the top 6 contesting promotion because, let's face it, they just came up from League One and should be struggling. Coventry City 1-1 with Bristol City. Huddersfield 1, Luton Town 2. I'll tell you, Luton are making a fist of this season, picking up wins when you wouldn't think they would. And this one's on the road, 2-1 at Huddersfield. And finally, Millwall making a big impression in the playoff positions, beating Rotherham 3-0. Now, taking a look at the table, I tell you, it's going to be an interesting go of it for a lot of the guys because you see that Burnley on top. I've been saying about Burnley for quite some time, that they are the team to catch. And, with 53 points on the season already, I think you've got to say they need to be absolutely in a disastrous run of form for them to not get promotion. And I'm really saying Sheffield are going with them. When you think that Sheffield's got 8 points clear over Blackburn, who lose a lot of games, you've got to say Blackburn really are making it impossible to get into that top 2 because of the indifferent form or the inconsistent form, whereby Sheffield, they keep bringing the wins. And they did get that win on the road the other day, squeaky 1-0 win at Blackpool. I said it was going to be a 2-1, and it was a tough game. And Burnley did get that win at Stoke City on the road the other day. I said 3-0. It was tougher than that. I did say it could be a 2-1 battle. It ended up being a 1-0 squeaker. But Burnley, Vincent Kompany, take the 3 points and stay at the top and sit on 53 points. Sheffield on 50 points. In behind them, Blackburn on 42. Now, Millwall's the team at the moment right now. They really are making a surge of this and are threatening to push Blackburn out of 3rd. Now, when you're looking at the playoff positions, 3rd and 4th is where the playoff positions are key because you play 3 plays 6th, 4 plays 5th, but 3rd and 4th get the home games. That's the point. Secondly, when you look at how Blackburn's indifferent form is right now, the losses, I think that there's a good chance with a bit of injury worries in a different form that Blackburn would slide down even further than they are. So the losses will kill them. And I think that Luton Town are looking to move above them. Sunderland, for me, I think they're higher than they should be. And I don't know that Sunderland should be in 6 at the moment. But when you consider 10, 8 and 8 and 38 goals on the season, I think they're there for real, yeah? 38 goals on the season, third highest scoring team in the division. The only problem is they do seem to give up a few goals, 29 on the season. Watford now out of the top 6. Middlesbrough making a fist of it. They had a 4-1 win recently. Another 4-1 win again. Puts them right in the fame, and they're in good form. Middlesbrough, keep an eye on Middlesbrough to grab the playoff spot. Norwich sliding down even further. It's not looking good for Norwich. Yeah, you fire the coach, you get a draw, and it's a win. And then Andy Carroll puts the penalty in. So another game where Norwich could have got the points, and it's only 1 on the day instead of 3 at Carrow Road. And Luton Town, I tell you, another team who I believe are doing better than they should be is Luton Town as well. Hats off to them. Keep going, 11-3 and 11 on the season. Pretty much look like Reading, or pretty much look like a Blackburn. So got to say, these games are coming in thick and fast. And I tell you, it hasn't stopped. Championship is taking a little bit of break after this one, but the FA Cup comes in and you'll see a few more teams. I tell you, let's take a look at some of the games coming in. And looking above, you can see those games I just talked to you about and the games coming in. So feast your eyes, that's what we got coming in next. And I tell you what, some tough games. And we've got games in the morning too. Both Championship and Premiership are going through. There's more games coming in the Premiership too. They go all the way to the 7th. So, sorry, to the 5th. So we've got more coming. But I tell you what, it's a loaded schedule. Unreal, this is unreal what's coming in. And I tell you, it's a lot to take in. Things are changing, teams are moving. It's really an interesting time to be covering the Premiership and the Championship. Like I say, my money is on Burnley, my money is on Sheffield. But I got to say, looking at that 8 teams below, 4 teams in the top 4, 4 teams in the bottom 4, in the playoffs, out of the playoffs, and it's 6 points that separates all of them. That's just 2 games. So it's really close. It's just what you want to see, and every team is in with a shout. Anybody below them could creep in, but I think you've got them top 10 teams that are going to be changing places apart from the top 2, and all the way to the end of the season, he who gets the goals, gets the points, stays in their positions, is going to go into the playoffs. Any team, I'm telling you now, on the day is capable of winning the playoffs. And when you look at the playoff finals that come off in Wembley in May, that's the proof of the pudding. You've seen teams that should have won that game going to the Premiership that didn't and lost. The only thing is, if you're not ready for the Premiership, you're coming straight back down. Tell you what, guys, it's been an absolute blast looking around the studio. We've got lots of stuff to bring you, lots of stuff to go. But one game I would love to talk to you about is a game coming up tomorrow as well in a different part of the world. And I think you really want to get your eyes on this one. And feast your eyes on that one. Coming up also January 2nd is the Celtic and Rangers game coming off at Ibrox. It's the Old Firm. You got a load of games around the world, the El Clasicos or the El Clasico for Alberta, or the El Clasico Spain, yeah, or the Manchester Derby, the Milan Derby, all kinds of derbies, yeah. But this one, the Old Firm, famous all over the world. Celtic taking on Rangers in Glasgow. It's the Glasgow Derby, as it's now called nowadays, because when Rangers were relegated, that kind of stopped a few of the Old Firm stats, new club formed, etc., different sort of situation. And some people like to think that now it's called the Glasgow Derby. I think it always was the Glasgow Derby, but all of us like to keep calling it the Old Firm because that's what it is. Anyway, video coming right after this about the Old Firm with some nice stats and some great stories, because I'm going to leave it there. We're not going to spoil it. Glasgow Derby coming up next. You want to watch that. Guys, enjoy the Premier League games coming up tomorrow. Enjoy your Championship games coming up tomorrow. Drop down below what your team is. Let's get into this. We have a few people we're going to acknowledge right now. Tony is a big Chelsea fan. Ryan, another Chelsea fan. We've got Martin, who's a Tottenham fan. And finally, on the East Coast, Philip. Philip is a big Brentford fan. How could he be a Brentford fan? Hey, come back for the next show and I'll tell you how. But hey, we've got 4 guys on 4 teams. What's your team? Jot down below. Give us a comment who you support in the EPL or in the Premier League, or even so, do you support Celtic or Rangers? Okay, guys, that's all we've got time for. Come back in a couple of days for the post-EPL and Championship and get ready for FA Cup, EFL Cup, and all the rest of it that's coming through fast as you know it. Cheers, guys.
The Ultimate Soccer Show. Join me, listen, you'll love it. Everybody does.